Well, hello, it's Granny Sue. I'm coming to you today from the front deck of my home, thinking I'd share a story about cherries. And this story is called Sir Cleges and the Christmas Cherries, a story that comes from Cornwall and the days of King Arthur. Now, Cleges was one of Arthur's knights, and Arthur so favored him that he gave Cleges a fine castle. Well, Cleges was a good knight. He was fair, and he was kind, and generous. Perhaps too kind and generous, because after a few years he had given away almost all of his possessions. He had nothing left, and, well, his family did not know what they were going to live on. Now the holidays were coming, and there was no food in the castle. So Cleges went out into his garden, trying to think what to do. And there he saw a cherry tree, and the tree was full of ripe cherries. Cleges couldn't believe his eyes. He picked a whole basket of cherries. And he took him in to show his wife. And he said, "I must take these to the king. Cherries at Christmas. Who ever heard of such a thing?" And though she was hungry, his wife agreed. And so Cleges rode to Tintagel, to Arthur's castle. But when he got to the gate, the guard said, "No, you can't come in here, you ragged old beggar. What do you want?" And Cleges said, "I have cherries. Look, cherries for the king." The guard looked. Now he knew that Arthur would give Cleges a great gift for bringing such a thing as cherries at Christmas. And so he said, "Well, all right, go ahead then. But you must give me a third of whatever he gives you." "All right," said Cleges. He knew he wasn't going to get in otherwise. Well, he crossed the bridge to the castle, but when he got to the next door, there was yet another guard. And he made the same demand, "Give me a third of what he gives you." Cleges had to agree. He came to yet one more door, the door to the king's chamber, and there, you guessed it, there was another guard. "You must give me a third of whatever the king gives you." "Very well," said Cleges. And he was let in to see the king. Now you can imagine, Arthur was overjoyed. "Cherries at Christmas time? Never have I heard of such a thing," said Arthur. "I must give you a great reward. Name it, it shall be yours." "Well," Cleges said, I think I would like you to give me 12 lashes that I may give to anyone I choose." "That's a strange request." "Nevertheless, it's what I want." So Arthur gave Cleges a whip and said, "There you are. You have your wish." Cleges took off. He went to the guard at the door, and the man said, "Have you got my 1/3? And Cleges said, "Yes, turn around." And he gave the man 4 lashes with that whip. The man hollered and screamed. Cleges went on to the next guard and gave him the same 4 blows. By the time he had reached the last guard, word had gotten back to the king of what Cleges was doing. He said, "What is this man doing?" He had just finished giving that last guard the 4 lashes when a messenger came and said, "You must come back to Arthur. He has a question for you." Cleges returned, and King Arthur said, "What is he doing, man? Please tell me." Well, Cleges told him about what the guards had done. Arthur laughed and laughed and laughed. "Why, that's the fairest thing I have ever heard. Reminds me of a knight I once had, a kind and fair man. His name was Cleges. As a matter of fact, he looked a lot like you." "Well, that," said Cleges, "is because I am Cleges." The king was so overjoyed to see his old friend, he gave him bags of gold to take home and warned him, "Now, Cleges, you are kind, you are good, you are fair, and you are generous. But please, my friend, try not to be quite so generous." And Cleges bowed and promised to do his best, and returned home with the gold to his wife. And as far as I know, they lived happily ever after in their castle at Cornwall.